My dear brothers and sisters, the Samaritans, according to the Gospels, rejected Jesus. So the story was personally challenging to Jesus. Jews regarded the Samaritans as heretics, religiously disreputable, and not those sharing their faith. They certainly did not see them as neighbors. There was a great deal of bitterness between Jews and Samaritans, those of mixed race and collaborators after the Assyrian conquest. The parable is designed by Jesus to be shocking and threatening to our secure understanding of what is right and acceptable. When it characterizes the Samaritan as the hero, the Samaritan was the ultimate outsider. And hereby, Jesus was shattering categories and destroying boundaries. That is what brought Jesus on this earth. Are we neighbors? And how do you understand a neighbor? Is not the person who's next to you, but the one who is in need. The law of love should only be written in the scriptures, but in our hearts and mind. To love God with all our being means to be aware of His presence in us every single moment, and think, speak, and act with the intention of glorifying Him. On the other hand, to love our neighbor as ourselves means to consider them, especially the needy, as part of ourselves. Other people, in fact, the whole of creation, are the product of one Creator, who is God. Hence, other people are not different from us spiritually. They are not separate from us. We are all one people. Therefore, whatever we do to them, we do it to ourselves. Another question: who is your neighbor? The person who is in need. Today, we are witnesses of the ugly head of racism and its obnoxious effects on peace and development. The chasm between us and them is a product of hatred, the very opposite of love. The same can be said of ignorance and neglect of the needy. Those who have much have separated themselves from those who have very little. And sometimes we say they don't want to work. But according to the research, sometimes our society do not forgive. What do I mean by saying that? For example, when you put in your social security and you have done something wrong for many, many years, no one would like to hire you. I have heard people say, he's a young man, but he doesn't want to work. No. Sometimes we need to go deeper and ask, why is he begging. Likewise, those who suffer from violence are left to fend for themselves. So, where is love of the neighbor? Jesus uses the well-known story of Good Samaritan to illustrate how our acts of mercy, how the strength of our faith. When we reach out with our whole hearts and mind and soul, we reflect God's presence within us. It is this presence that makes us neighbors to each other. Loving God and our neighbor is the fruit of eternal life. The gospel reading for today begins by saying, there was a scholar of the law who stood up to test Jesus and said, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" As Christians, there will be people who will test our faith in Jesus. We must show mercy. Our relationship with God and our neighbor forms our identity. We have to know that. The scholar asked Jesus the essential question of this gospel: and who is my neighbor? In sharing today's parable, Jesus wants us to know that we are all neighbors to each other. We are all in need in one way or another. We are all bigger than our circumstances. This is a story of God's mercy that is renewed each day and gives us the strength to encounter the Lord through our acts of mercy. When did you last do the acts of mercy? Take a moment. Do you criticize, or you just say, "Lord, have mercy"? Christianity is not a private religion. That is only about me and God. It is about how through mercy we live this relationship with those in need. The reality is that sometimes we just don't want to be bothered. Sometimes we are living in a comfort zone. You say, "To hell with that. I have done enough." But who is your neighbor? Sometimes people think that the one in need is the one who needs money or dinero. No. Any person who is in need can be just a smile, can be just the person you have taken long without talking to him. Go and say hi to that person. However, no matter how difficult it might be, we must walk by faith, not by sight. When we think about God's mercy to us and what God has done for us, we can't help but want to show mercy to those around us, especially those in need. My dear friends, the parable suggests that our neighbor is anyone who is in need, and that we must go as far as we can to help that person unconditionally. There are no barriers, exclusions, or limits. It is a call to stop prejudice, to extend compassion to all, no matter who is involved. There is no justification for drawing a line of exclusion. Love knows no bounds of race. It only asks for opportunities to go into action. Today, we are going to install our Parish Pastoral Council members. They are going to do the same. They are going to show love to our parish. What do you do to help others? To be a Christian means to love one another and to serve one another. The parish council members are going to serve our community. Let us take a minute and think, am I ready? Am I ready to be a neighbor? Am I ready to be a good Samaritan or not? It is a question to ponder about.
Thank you for joining us for this celebration of the Mass. This virtual Mass is broadcast to hundreds of people every day of the week. You know, over 100 years ago, the very first celebrations of the Mass took place on the second floor of the Glenview Public House. It's been inconceivable that 100 years later, we would be reaching so many people all over the world through this technology. If you'd like to support the ongoing broadcasts of OLPH's Masses, please go to our website, go to Give Central, and you'd be able to support the ongoing outreach of this virtual ministry. Thank you for your support. Most of all, thank you for joining us in prayer. God bless you.